Thanks so much for joining us. It's Conversations with Ladies Who Launch. My name is Anthea Cutler. I'm your mindset coach for women in business, and I am so excited to have the gorgeous Claire Riley join me today.
Thank you for having me.
So exciting. I've known you for a couple of years now. Claire is a marketing extraordinaire. I don't even know what to call her these days because she is so good at all things business. I am going to hand over the reins to you, Claire. My first question that I love to give people is, how would you love to hear your ideal clients talk about you? Like, what's that kind of introduction look like?
I absolutely love that you asked that question because it's such a different angle to come from. And I often talk about it when I'm talking to my clients actually about creating content. And one of the first things that I ask people to do is as well, like, what sort of words do you want people to describe you as? Like, is it an empowered thing or, a hand-holding thing or whatever? So I think that's really beautiful. So I guess I would hope that people, and I think people probably explain like I'm one of those people who just likes to organize things and have lots of order and easy, simplified, automation-y, simple business systems and that sort of thing. I wrap it up by saying I'm a textbook Virgo, because to me that means like all of those things. I like to be ordered and organized and make things easy, but it's also got to come in a really beautiful package with ribbons and bows and lollipops and all of that sort of thing. So yeah, so I just like to help organize and make things easier, take things off people's to-do lists rather than overcomplicate and add things to what we're supposed to be doing in business.
Amazing. And I've followed you for a while now. And when I think of you, I just think super organized. The fact that I even know that you're a Virgo, like I don't know anyone's star signs,
All right.
I know that you're a Virgo. And you're just so organized, but also like high level tech savvy. Like you make that tech work for you instead of being overwhelmed by the tech.
Yeah.
But in a really like strategic, melds with your business, not overcomplicating things kind of way. So.
Look, I guess my big thing is I've been running businesses since I was 16, like that. My first official management job was when I was 19. And no matter how many times I tried to stay out of management roles in business or in retail, or when I was in the corporate world, I would, I'd say to my friend, I'm serious this time. I'm just going in, I'm doing my 9 to 5 and I'm getting out of there. I'm taking on no extra responsibility. And within 3 weeks, I always ended up back in a management role because I just couldn't help myself but make things better and easier and more streamlined. And people were like, oh, she's good. Like we need this. And I'm like, oh, fine. So that's the sort of thing, I guess, that I would never really have called myself a super techie person. And actually in my business these days, I'm much less technical than I used to be because there's just so many different things. But I think the biggest thing for me is that I really hate that my way or the highway style of teaching, whether it's business or tech or anything like that. Like there are so many different options. There are so many different tools and apps and systems and processes and that sort of thing. And there's no one size fits all. And there's no like, just have this perfect combination of these 5 apps and this process and this strategy and you'll have a great business, because it just doesn't work like that for people. So I'm all about, teaching the same process or the same outcome, how to get the same sort of outcome, but in so many different ways that appeals to people's personality type and business and lifestyle and goals and all of that sort of thing. So
yeah, and I love that you're not attached to any particular way, because I think it's so much more solution focused, right? What do you want it to look like? And we'll work out which bits you don't need manpower for.
Yeah, totally.
And systemized and stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, there's some things that often sort of pop up, and certainly the people who I work with, there's often some similarities or some patterns or things that no one likes to do, but it's never the perfect storm. Like it's never a cookie cutter approach for anything, So it's definitely.
While we're here, what are the things that no one likes to do?
Well, it's often the bookkeeping stuff, the financial sort of stuff that unless you're a business, like a financy bookkeeping sort of person, it's like, oh, spreadsheets, oh, accounting software, oh, receipt management, like document control, that sort of thing. That is often the biggest one when we do. Like when I work, especially one-on-one, is the one thing that people are like, oh, I know I need to, I know I have to, especially because there's compliance and tax and all that sort of thing. Yeah. But it's the one thing that's like, too hard basket, problem for future me or problem for never me, and I'll just get in trouble when I get a rap over the wrist from the tax office and that sort of thing. But I'd say that's probably one of the biggest ones. And even like content is kind of one of the things that everyone wants to be doing, but it feels like a really big beast. It feels like a really big kind of hard thing to do, which is, you know, why I do a lot of what I do is the content marketing stuff, because there's so many easy ways to make it easy and fun and connected and all that sort of thing.
Repurpose that one thing that you did.
Repurpose it, upcycle things, stop reinventing the wheel. It doesn't have to be this hard.
It's so funny that you say bookkeeping, because I have a beautiful bookkeeper who has like streamlined my bookkeeping system so that there's still bits that I do, but it's like click of a button.
Sure. Yeah.
Upload the receipt. Like, it's so easy now. My 75-year-old father, I've just spent a couple of days with him because he's not well. But he runs an art business with another guy, but he's trained as an accountant, but like way back in the day. Yeah. But he's like this on the computer, the poor darling. Yeah. And I'm like scanning, you know, he's still using the huge clunky printer to scan things with. And I'm like just sitting there doing it with my phone.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, all absolutely the different evolutions, and like how lucky we are to have all of these amazing tech.
And I mean, I think we have, it's the same as tech, like we all have that story, and there's so many people who the first thing they say is, I'm not techie. That's the line, like, I'm not techie, I'm not at all techie, I have no tech, I'm techno, blah blah blah. Like they have this story, technophobe, all that sort of thing. And actually when you dig under it, it's just because like it looks scary, but when you can show someone like even either an easy app or just removing some of those apps and just going back to some more basic things and setting up like a template and a process, and it's actually not that hard, but it's a really convenient line. I'm not good at tech, therefore I don't have to do things, and it's a really nice, it's a really convenient barrier to getting some stuff done. But it's the same with money. I'm bad with money, or I don't know how to use that app, or I don't have a blah blah blah, or I hate spreadsheets, or whatever the story is. But actually it is just a story. Like I the last time I did maths was the only subject I ever failed in high school. I got a D for it in grade 11. I mean, because it was it wasn't even algorithm, I guess it was like Pythagoras theory. I'm like literally pulling out some long words that sound mathsy. I don't really know.
Like, I don't even really
something to do with triangles or something like that, because it wasn't interesting, right? And so I had this story, I'm not good with money, I'm bad at maths, I'm bad at money, I'm bad at blah blah blah, all of that sort of thing. So I had that sort of story. But when I started my business, and there was this whole different reason to understand money, to understand what was coming in, what was going out, for profit and loss, for how do I price myself, or how do I price my thing, like how does all my money work? I like accidentally became really good at maths, and it was because it wasn't the maths that was about freaking triangles. It was applied stuff that meant something to my bank balance and to how I lived my lifestyle. Yeah. And so all of a sudden I don't have that story of I'm bad at maths again. Like, I don't know how to do the triangle and circle circumferencey things, that I'm never going to be able to do the engineering part of building a building, but I'm really good at the business math stuff because it's my money. Like, I really want to know that stuff. I want to know the numbers because it means something, you know? So I think a lot of that stuff is just the story we tell ourselves. And actually when there's a reason to be good at it that either moves us towards our goals or helps us with our lifestyle or saves us time or whatever it is, it's a whole different angle to come at it from, whether it's tech or money or content or something, rather than just like, oh, I've got to do my tax, or oh, I've got to learn this app, or oh, I've got to create content. Like, when there's a reason for it that is connected, it takes it away from it.
Yeah, and I love how you describe that, because I just had a client recently, and in her mind, she's a tech person, not a words person.
Yeah.
And so we did this little kind of hypnotic exercise where we took her back in time, and it was a very similar experience to the one that you described with triangles. It was something along the lines of like, she was in a classroom and somebody told her that, or no, like she got a bad mark on some story writing thing. But actually when she went back to just before, she actually loved writing stories. And then that had been generalized across her life, even though it was just that one experience.
Oh, it gives me goosebumps. There's so many of those things, and teachers, unfortunately, are so incremental and instrumental in the forming of those self-talk and the beliefs. Like, so many people, and I've heard this story over and over again. We talk about creativity so much at the moment, where someone, like an art teacher, said, go back and redo that because elephants are grey, not blue. or that sort of thing. And I actually saw it once when we were going through some primary schools for my son to go to, so 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We went to this beautiful school, and the principal was amazing and like was very child focused, and the school was amazing, the grounds were amazing, the teachers, the like grade 6 students who walked us around were amazing, and we were like, you know, nudging each other like, this is the one, this is amazing. And then we went into an art class which just happened to be on at the same day, and they said, you know, come in. He was in kinder or whatever then. And as she was sort of talking to us, a few of the students who were maybe in grade 1 or so came up and showed her their like a mixed media thing, a picture of a duck in a pond with the pond and the duck and the trees and whatever. And 2 or 3 kids in a row, she went back and said, oh, where's the legs? Go and put the legs on them. He's not a duck if he doesn't have legs. And this one was, that's the wrong color. Go and make the tree leaves green or something. And I'm like, I was mortified. I'm like, he can't come here. They're being, be creative, but only if you do it how we say you can do it. It just blew my mind. I'm like, I can't set him up as a 5 or 6 year old with, you can be, you know what I mean? It just broke the whole thing
in the exact right way. Yeah.
It just broke the whole thing. I'm like, I can't. But I think we do that so much to ourselves as well, where we just have these stories of, you know, I was the same when I was very creative. My whole high school, I did lots of drama, all the creative writing. I was involved in youth theatre. I did art, visual arts and photography and that sort of thing. And then I went off to uni and I thought, well, I can't do that anymore because I'm a very serious uni student now. I'm going to be a psychologist and I can't be creative and intellectual at the same time. So I thought I had to pick one. And so I picked the intellectual one.
The subject that you were doing or the degree that you were doing, pick one for life.
Yeah, for life. Forever. And it wasn't until probably 5 or 6 years ago when someone, and I was like, no, I'm not really creative anymore. I'm just good at spreadsheets. And they were like, well, you can't really be good at spreadsheets if you're not creative, and explained the whole creative process that goes behind turning a mess into order. And it's like, oh, it doesn't just have to mean painting and that sort of thing. But yeah, so anyway, I'm like, I can't send him here if he's going to get in trouble for having a pink duck.
And how lucky are we that we know this stuff now? Like our poor parents, they didn't know any of this.
I know.
And we're still okay.
We're still fun. We're still fun.
So just going back a little, what is it that, like, why is it that you first started this business? I know you've been in business since you were 16, but what started this one?
So this one, I'm just about to have my 6th anniversary this year in November. I guess I started it for a couple of different reasons. Number one, back then I was married and my then husband was doing FIFO, so he was only home for 5 or 6 days a month, and I had a baby and a toddler. So it had just been like, it was just it wasn't I wanted to be there for the kids and that sort of thing, and we had as a family decided that was the priority, that I, you know, could sort of stay home and that sort of thing. Having said that, I also completely recognize and I'm so grateful for the fact that I had that privilege, that we had, you know, the financial circumstance where I could sort of play and or be home with the kids and all that sort of thing. So part of it was just time wise, you know, when it was just my son, who was a toddler, and I was pregnant, he was always the first one at daycare, last to be picked up. Even though the business that I was working for was amazing and, you know, made lots of flexibilities and gave me a car park, and I absolutely loved my job there and that sort of thing, it just didn't work, and I had all the mum guilt, you know, as you do, and all that sort of thing. So I guess that was a big part of it, was just the timing was kind of right. I was a remedial massage therapist as well, so I kind of had experience in setting up and running my own business and getting things profitable and going through some of the marketing and setup stuff and all that sort of thing. And every time I had sort of set up, I think this is my 5th business maybe, and I'd had a couple of other things. The part that I realized I loved the most and got the most ease and satisfaction from was the setting up of businesses, not necessarily just my own. I was like, I just wanted to help other people. And a big part of my motivation is a few conversations, as it always happens very serendipitously, but a few conversations that I'd had with people where they would come up with a big idea or like a beautiful inspiration they had or a life change. And I was like, right. And I kind of want to get the spreadsheet out and be like, all right, first you need to do this, then you need to do this. And I go into overdrive of getting all excited about setting up someone's business. And then, you know, sometime down the track would check in with them and they'd be like, oh no, I can't do that. I haven't saved my $50,000, or I haven't got my business plan, or I just need to get one more qualification. And I'm like, why? like life would be different and better like now if you'd started 6 or 12 months ago when we talked about this. And I couldn't understand why people didn't do it. And also people often ask me like, how do you do this and how do you fit it all in and like have the busy social life and have the little kids and have a business? And I was like, oh, I don't know. It's just and so, but enough people ask me that I stopped saying, well, I just do. And I was like, maybe there is something here that I've kind of somehow figured out a bit of a formula for how to make it easy and seamless and fulfilling and all of that sort of thing. So I thought, well, like, I need to pull something together, and I didn't want to do the massage stuff anymore. So it kind of all just conspired into this perfect storm where I could sort of play with a bit of messaging. Like I kind of went out, to be honest, when I first started, more like a VA sort of stuff, to be honest, when I started. But I kind of went out, was like, hey, I'm really good at organizing things. Anyone need any organizing done? Because I can help you with that. Like I was so broad. There was no specific stuff. And I started with a bit of business stuff and a bit of lifestyle, like personal things. So if you need some personal stuff organized, I can help you with that too. And it sort of just eventually went more business sort of centric. But yeah, in a nutshell, those 25 things kind of conspired to get me started.
Awesome. You've kind of touched on this, but what I like to kind of paint a picture of what people's business and their launching look like initially, whether you even called it launching. You might not even call it launching now. Everybody's different. So what it looked like in the beginning and what it looks like now. Can you kind of paint a picture of?
Yeah, so I guess when I first started, launching was probably something that I just thought about in terms of NASA. Like I didn't really understand, it wasn't a thing, it wasn't on the radar, I had no idea. When I first started, Tash Corbin was my mentor. We'd worked together in corporate, so I was very, involved in how she did things with the lean startup and that sort of thing. So I guess when I started, launching was absolutely not a thing. It was more about practicing messaging, throwing some spaghetti at the wall, seeing what happens, made a bit of money, built my confidence with, delivery and just sort of playing and that sort of thing. And I mean, the first time I put an offer out, it was $45 for an hour, and I got a wrap over the knuckles for that because it was obviously way too low. But it meant that I got 8 clients straight off the bat, so that I felt like I had a bit of wiggle room and I could just go out and play and make sure that I delivered. And they were all fantastic sessions. So I kind of got the baptism of fire, which I think was really necessary. Otherwise, I would have probably still be sitting on my hands, freaking out and doing the perfectionist sort of thing. But then over time, as I, stopped playing so much with, well, we could do this, or we could fix this, or we could just do an intro session, and kind of, got a bit more structured and streamlined. Eventually had Batshit Crazy, which has been going now for 4 years. So that was kind of my first signature program. I did another short course called Pause for Effect way back in the day, which was about reflecting before you start planning and all that sort of thing. So kind of practiced a little bit, I suppose, with a mini launch, although I doubt that I even called it a launch back then.
So common, and that's another reason why we do conversations with ladies who launch.
Right. Which I think is fine. Like I don't think you have, it's one of those things where if you wait until you've got the perfect launch plan and you understand all the bells and whistles without having tested your messaging and without having tested the delivery and without having delivered it quite a few times already anyway, it's kind of like it, I don't know, it just doesn't feel, I'm sure some people can do it and whatever, but for me it just feels like way too much pressure and way too much riding on it. And if it flops, you've just kind of got 6 weeks that, 6 or 8 weeks or whatever, that hasn't kind of yielded anything, lessons perhaps, which is good. But anyway, so I guess over time, it's really the big sort of evolution bits has gone like, all right, that worked, I'll do it again, but I'm going to create something totally new, rather than just that worked and I'm going to capitalize on that and make it better for the next one. It's like, oh, that worked, I'm going to go create a new course and do the same thing. Oh, that kind of worked, I'll create a new course, or I'll create a new webinar, or create blah, blah, blah. Like I just created all these things until at one point, I think I had something like 27 offers. 27 ways you can work with me. Not confusing at all, is it? No, not at all. So had my little reality check about that. And then, eventually it's kind of gotten down now. There's 3 ways to work with me, which is retreat, one-on-one, and Batshit Crazy membership. So there's 3 things, which means when I do now what I call a launch plan, it's more like a yearly calendar kind of in advance. It's very structured. It's very strategic. It's very much around my life, like school holidays. I'm not doing anything because I want to spend time with my kids / do nothing, like whatever. But then I can also get very strategic with, okay, well, I really want to do a launch, or like 2 launches for Batshit Crazy a year. So that's going to take 3 months here and 8 weeks here. And then I want to do a retreat. So I need to, reverse engineer it here. And then, all of that sort of thing. So now my launches are very specific. They're very well timed, but it's almost a rinse and repeat kind of process. I've got my SOP and I've got my spreadsheet, which is sort of just to change the dates and, go again when I'm ready, that sort of thing. So it's much more of a well-oiled machine these days. And it feels like, okay, I'm going to do a launch. I know what to do, just fill in the blanks and get it done sort of thing, rather than, oh shit, there's no money. I need to make some money. What am I going to sell? Oh my God, let's just do some offers and, the spaghetti at the wall, which, as I said, I think is a really important part of the process and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But eventually you get to a point where some more strategy and structure actually makes it easier. Yeah.
Love it. That is the best snapshot of like where
there you go.
Yeah, I love it. I feel like I was right there with you.
Yeah, right.
Been for some of the time.
Yes, exactly.
The last couple of years, not the first couple.
Yeah.
And so what I love to do is I love to help women in business model out the good bits, the bits where it has felt like you've been in flow or it's been easy. What are your go-tos now in terms of kind of harnessing that flow or ease in your business?
Yeah, I guess I reverse engineer everything pretty much, like I said, a year out. So at the moment, I'm starting to look at next year with, am I going away? When are the major birthdays in the family? What's school holidays looking like? What are my goals? Like I've got a book which is finished, but it's sort of in the publishing, editing process now. So that'll be a new thing that I want to factor in, a whole thing with that sort of. So I think for me, a couple of those key parts is really like the reverse engineering it around my life rather than the other way around. Because we've all done it where we've gone, right, I'm going to run this amazing launch. And then you put the launch and you do all the dates and you get all the work done. And then you're like, oh shit.
School holidays,
or I'm going away, or someone's coming to visit, or do you know what I mean? There's that something you're like, oh, and then you've got to have the decisions of, am I going to go through with it anyway, or do I change dates and have to go back and retouch everything I've already touched and fix it all? And it's just an unnecessary evil. Sometimes things pop up, like we totally get that things happen, but if you can, do you reckon that's ever happened? Has anyone ever been stuffed up by something random that happened in the world? I mean, it's always going to happen, but if we can eliminate as much of that that's going to impact us as possible, that's great. Some people, school holidays don't make a difference for, cool. Some people, Christmas is their busier time rather than their quieter time. Cool. It doesn't matter. Like there's no hard and fast. Do not work at this time. Make sure you plan around this time, but it's what's important to you. For me, like when I do my quarterly planning, I'm like, I want to go away every month. Well, if I want to go away every month and I want to take, 2 or 3 days out of my business once a month, well, I need to factor that in rather than going at the end of the quarter, oh shit, I didn't do those weekends away because I was too busy launching because I didn't factor it in. So one of the big, really simple but game-changing piece of work I do with most of my VIPs when we first start is a master schedule where we look at everything that you want to do within your personal and your business life on a daily, weekly, fortnightly, monthly basis, so on and so forth. And then we plan for it. So rather than just saying, I want to do a course this year in mosaic tabletops, and then getting to December and being like, oh yeah, I didn't do that course in mosaic tabletops. I wonder why I didn't do that course in mosaic tabletops. Because you didn't plan it. You didn't put it in your calendar. Like if you say you want to do it, it's got to go in there either as a recurring thing so that it's blocked out, or it's got to be a project that you go and do the research, book it in, and then put it in your calendar so that there's time and energy and mental space actually allocated to that thing. So I think that's a really important part of it, is just really getting clear on what your priorities are. One of the biggest game changers in my business years ago, someone asked me, what are the 3 things that you want to spend most of your time in your business doing? ... And what are the 3 things that are currently taking up your time? And they were so far apart. Like the things I wanted to be doing was probably things like writing, spending time with clients, and speaking gigs or something like that, whatever they were. And what they actually were was spending time on Facebook and fart-assing around in Canva and whatever else, that sort of thing. I'm like, adjust accordingly, right? But it's same with your lifestyle. So if you want to be spending less time in your business and more time with your family, or you want to, do whatever it is, you can't just put it on a piece of paper and hope that it happens. Like you've actually got to energetically make time for that sort of thing and space. so that it actually happens, because there's nothing worse. We've all got to the end of the year and look back on our lofty goals from that January and gone, oh yeah,
hang on, I've got the
what
same
about
goal,
that?
but I've made no progress.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's going to happen to a certain degree with a lot of things, but if you can move the dial on some things that are really important. Anyway, so to bring that back to launching, I think reverse engineering it around your personal goals and your lifestyle and that sort of thing is really important. And when you do that, it really informs a lot of other decisions as well, I think, because you can see, oh, if I want to do all of these things, I actually only have X amount of hours a week to work on my business, on delivery or marketing or whatever it is. So it can inform your pricing, it can inform what you're selling and how you're selling, and it really informs like where you need help, automation, systemizing, outsourcing, and all of that sort of thing, because like a lot of us have a lot less time than we think we do. And one thing, when you do that master schedule, you're like, oh, that's why I'm so burnt out. I've built my business to require 60 hours a week from me when I said all I wanted to do was 20.
And then I've got 12 weeks of school holidays.
I've got 12 weeks of school holidays. Yep, exactly. And I'm going to be away for a week doing that business retreat, and I'm going to be away at that conference, and I've got that on, and there's a public holiday, and oh, look, there's some student free days as well, and goodness knows what else. So so I think you're putting it all together and just being really clear about what the whole point is. We've all had moments. I have these moments probably less frequently now, but certainly in the first couple of years, every 3 to 6 months, where it was like an F this S moment. I'm going over to Seek. I'm getting a job. This is rubbish. I can't be bothered. And I'd go to Seek and I'd look it up, and within half an hour I'd be like, never mind, I'll just make the business work because I don't want any of those jobs. They suck. All of that sort of thing. But definitely, we probably all get to the point, and like no one sets up a business at the very beginning that is exactly what it needs to look like. We all put in extra hours and extra love and that's totally part of the process. And I'm all about trusting the process, but don't take my word for it. You've actually got to do the process, so you trust the process, so that all that sort of thing, right? So I guess that's probably my biggest thing, is to build those things around your own lifestyle, and to be really specific and clear on your own lifestyle goals, not necessarily the big goals, but like, how do I actually want to do this? Because, to avoid burnout and the resentment and the procrastination, because it just all feels like it's a waste of time. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Reverse engineering. And also what you've already talked us through, which is the rinse and repeat, which is what I'm starting to move towards, and I'm so excited. Like,
look, I think I'm very process oriented, as you know, no huge surprises there, but there's just anything that you do more than once, it just deserves at least a checklist. I think it just takes that guesswork out of, what did I do last time? Because it might be 8 or 12 weeks or longer between you launching anything, let alone the same product over and over again. And just taking the guesswork out of what you have to do. You still have to do it. You still have to do the things. But if you don't have to remember what you were supposed to do as well, it just takes one level of stress off. And it is always an evolution, and it's definitely not a one size fits all and a set and forget and just do change the dates. You're always evolving and always tweaking and updating and removing some unnecessary things and adding in things that would be helpful. And I mean, marketing, and especially digital marketing and social media marketing, changes every second, so you can't necessarily do the same thing over and over again, but there's certain elements that 90% of it's going to be the same over and over again.
Start all over again.
You don't have to start all over again. Stop reinventing the wheel. It's a waste of energy. I mean, there's also times when you go, I need to go and write this email, and you go and write the email and you're like, hang on a minute, I reckon I've written this email before. And you have. And so same with blogs and social media, like, I've created all this stuff before.
And then you're definitely like, reminder, maybe I'll keep it this time.
Exactly. Keep it this time. Templates and checklists. If it's not, even the big fancy SOP with all of the bells and whistles, that's completely fine. But just a checklist, like, first I did this, then I did this, then I made sure of this, and I checked in with this, done. It just takes some of that high level stuff that it clouds our head when you're doing a launch. And like, how beautiful is it to pretty much be like, right, today's the start of my 8-week launch, and 90% of the work's done. The emails are written, the promos are written, the things are scheduled, we're pretty much ready to go. And then I can just rock up and engage and actually do the social stuff, like the social side of social media, and just nurture and love the people who are hanging around and answer the questions.
Turn up with a
and
cup of tea.
Turn up with a cup of tea, cup of wine, whatever. Like, just do whatever it is that makes it easy. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So next question is, what are your go-tos in challenging times? Like, is there a mindset tool? Is there somebody in particular you share with? What's your go-to in challenge?
Yeah, I guess I feel like I've got a heap of those sort of tools up my sleeve, and at any given time, one of them feels like it's going to be the better solution than another. So I guess my number one thing that has been a really big game changer is having a biz bestie that's quite a specific and structured time as well. So every Monday we meet for 20 minutes, usually half an hour, and sometimes we do co-working afterwards as well. And it's like 15 minutes on each. So we have a bit of a chit chat at the beginning, and then 15 minutes, what's going on in your business? And it's just a really nice reality check for each other. So, and because we've been doing it probably for a year and a half or so now, we know each other's bullshit clause sort of thing. Like, hang on a minute, sounds like a procrastination tool to me. Is that really a priority? No, thank you. Move on. Or it's like, because we know each other's business really well, and we have completely different businesses. They're absolutely not related whatsoever, which is really, really great. So we have this totally non-biased opportunity to connect over, whatever. But it's just really nice to have that, someone else who's kind of on the same level business-wise, who knows what you're talking about and knows what the strategies are supposed to look like, and how execution is. But also we know each other on a personal level, so we can also be like, hey, like, come on back to the real world, like, stop freaking out about that, or have you forgotten about this, or just a really nice reality check. And also the co-working thing, no matter what group that is in for me, whether it's one person or a whole group or part of a course or something, always works really great for me. I just love that energetic momentum of everyone, heads down, bums up, doing the same, doing work at the same time. There's just this very different motivation, like, everyone else is doing it, I better kind of, get my shit together and stop going and gazing into my fridge. You're
not going to log into the co-working session and then sit there watching Netflix, are you?
I mean, it may have happened once or twice, but no, generally not. No. And I just really love that whole co-working, that energy really, really, really works for me.
Yeah.
But then I also have, I guess, some of those mindset tools. So I don't do a great deal of journaling, but I often find when I'm feeling stressed or stuck or whatever, I turn to writing. And I always used to as a younger person. And like, writing is just like so much to me. I just absolutely love it. And it's one of the things that first goes when I get stressed, I stop writing. But when I start again, and it's more of just a train of thought sort of thing, it just uncovers so much. So that's kind of a thing that I use. I do captain's orders, and that sort of changes most days because I'm just sort of going with the flow. I don't quite follow the, how you're supposed to do it with that one. But you know what one of the biggest things for me is, and I only discovered this a year and a half ago when I moved to the Sunshine Coast, is just the talking out loud to myself, whether I sometimes record it, especially if I'm putting together like a presentation or something like that. I like to talk it out. But I had this thing probably for 6 months or so after I moved up here, where I was like, I can't get my shit together. Like, my head would just always felt like I kind of knew where I was going, but I couldn't put things in order in my head enough to get them onto the paper. Or when I was creating a new webinar, I was like, I just couldn't. And then I went for a drive somewhere, and we also had COVID, so I just wasn't driving. So when I was in Brisbane, I was doing 400 kilometers a week just on school drop off and pick up, right? So 10 hours of my life a week just in the car, but that was my talking time. I would talk out loud to myself, occasionally record it if I was, as I said, putting together a prezzo or something, but I would just extrovert. Because I'm such an introvert, like I do the think, maybe talk, think, rather than talking. But to process stuff, I need to actually talk it out loud, but not to a person. Yeah. And I'd missed out on that because we live now 400 meters around the corner from school. So like, it's a 5-minute walk to and from. I'm not going to walk along talking to myself. So I had missed 10 hours a week of extroverting and processing. Yeah. And I didn't realize until I realized how much of an impact that made on just how things do, how I process things and how I organize things and how I planned things and how I I would even extrovert things and be like, oh no, wouldn't do that, that sort of thing. So it wasn't even like a positive plan, and sometimes it was like what was I thinking? But I had to say it in order to get to that point of my process.
I can imagine at the end of that 400 kilometers per week, or like in between, you're ready to go by then.
Totally. Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you're expecting yourself to walk back from the schoolyard and be like, why am I not ready?
So true. It's so true. It was just a real light bulb moment of like, oh, I've lost so much processing time, which I just wasn't doing. So now then I've probably for about 3 months, I factored in, like you look at my calendar from about probably July last year, there's daydreaming times in my calendar that I've blocked out, that I either walk around my house or I lie on my couch or I go for a walk or whatever. And the whole purpose is just daydreaming, just imagining things. Sometimes then I do the visualization, but always out loud, always doing that processing. So I got that back. It wasn't in the car because I have no use to use my car for 10 hours a week and, environmentally friendly and all that sort of thing. But it made such a difference just acknowledging what was missing and putting that back in. So extroverting without anyone listening is very important, apparently, for me.
So good.
There's a little tool for you.
You probably got a tendency for auditory processing in general, because my husband is very much auditory and processes whole conversations out in the shower.
Yep.
For me, it's all internal and visualization, but everybody's different.
It's interesting, isn't it? I used to have a boss who was so extrovert, and she would say, can you just come in here? And I would just literally sit in her office, and she'd get the whiteboard out and she'd be talking and she'd be playing, and she'd rub that out and she'd get, write the next thing and talk through the whole thing. And all I had to pretty much do was physically be there, and she would work out she was like, okay, cool, I've got that, thanks very much. And then I could go. I didn't really have,
I don't know whether I did much.
Yep. But you're paying me, so hey, whatever, like I'll sit here and listen, that's totally fine. But she would say, I just need to extrovert something, can you just come in here? Like she just needed a person to physically talk to or at or whatever, which is fantastic. And now I realize like that was kind of was the same, but just not with a person. I don't need the person. That just feels like way too much pressure, but I need to actually say the words out loud rather than just think them, because I do a lot of that and they don't come out sometimes. So yeah.
And I so often catch women in business trying to do something the way somebody else does. You already had the tools within you. There's no point in you trying to follow some other Jane blog and how she processes things, because you've already worked out how to do it. You just got to actually give yourself time to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And realize it's a thing. It's not just an accident. It's actually, I need daydreaming time. Like I could just be a professional daydreamer. That's how I problem solve. And I like it. It's fun.
Totally. And that's obviously how you get some of your mojo. So good. So what do you reckon are your non-negotiable supports at your stage of business now?
Having a mentor, someone who is ahead of the game, like ahead of where I'm at, who can objectively look at what's going on. And part of that is also me having the faith to ask the question. And what happens sometimes, you ask the question and as you're asking it, you're like, duh, I know exactly what the answer is, but you just like having someone to kind of hash it out with, I think is really important.
Gosh. And rather than sitting on the question for weeks.
Yeah.
I think, like, I often talk to my women in business who are in my membership about just blurting it out to us.
Yeah.
Because often that will move you through it so much
totally
more than holding, sitting on it.
Yeah. So I think that's a really big one. I think, like I said, the accountability and support factor, whether that's a group of people in a course or something that are on the same sort of level, that understand like where you're coming from, and not only with the business strategy, but also with those moments where things feel like they suck and you just want to go and get a job at, flipping burgers or whatever. Having those people in place who even sometimes, like I've sent a message to people being like, I don't even know why I'm sending you this. I just feel like I need you to know that there's a problem right now. I don't need a solution. I just need you to know that this is going on, and them to go, cool, here if you need. Often you don't even need any more. It's just feeling like you've shared that there is something going on, just takes the load off. Like, oh yeah, okay, good. I've told someone, not a problem anymore, or whatever. Like, I think that makes a really big difference, having those sort of people who there's no judgment. There's just community, and I think we're so blessed with, you know, all of the circles that you and I certainly move in, that there is an absolute abundance of those sort of people who are so willing to be giving of their time, and also to be, you know, receiving of yours and that sort of thing, so you don't feel like it's, you know, one-sided or anything like that. But I think it's energetically, it's just incredible on a personal level as well as on a business level, to have other people in your corner who've got your back, who can give you the pat on the bum and tell you to keep going, or also hand you a glass of wine and tell you to shut up and go to sleep for a couple of days. You know, be realistic about things.
Overdone it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and have that kind of visibility and that transparency with what's going on for you, rather than, you know, your marketing face on all the time sort of thing. I think that's really important. And I guess some of the other things for me is those processes, like having some things that I can fall back on, having some sort of bare minimums, like my social media content, having my VA, you know, things like that, that I just know are constant, that I can call on, that isn't hard basket, that is just, you know, going to keep the doors open, so that I can also just disappear into my cave as I need to as well. That happens fairly frequently. Hashtag raging introvert.
But I love about you that you know when you need to cave, and because you know when you need to cave, you cave, and then you're out again.
I'm out again. Yep, exactly. And unapologetically, like, you don't have to, you know, so many people, especially in Batchy, they're like, oh, I haven't been present, or I haven't sent an email, or I haven't put anything on social, and I feel like I need to apologize. And you're like, no one's sitting there going, it's Tuesday, where's my email from Claire? Claire hasn't emailed. Like, no one's getting upset about it. Just rock up, you know, do you, get consistent, find ways that you can be consistent without having to be consistent. And yeah,
stop saying sorry, just do you
do you, boo.
Yeah. So good. Cool. So, off the top of your head, is there anyone in your mind that you reckon I should get the behind the sines on their business? You can come back to me on this one if you don't have one.
No, I've been thinking about this one actually. I have a pretty big biz girl crush on Jenna Kutcher. I think she's pretty incredible. You know, when I'm one of those dorks, like I said before, I'm super process focused. I can buy something online, buy a pretty dress online, and then all the emails that I get and the coupons and the vouchers and the notifications in the app and all that sort of thing, all I can picture in my head is their flow chart of what happens to trigger the next thing, Like, I literally picture it in a flow chart, and I'm like, that's fascinating. I wonder who did it, how do they, and what, and at what point, and it just fascinates me. So when I see her, who I follow fairly religiously, all I can think about is like, oh, it's such a well-oiled machine. It's so beautiful. I wonder who does what, and I wonder what their name is, and I wonder how they store their social media content, and I wonder how they do their databasing, and all of like that sort of that. I dream about these things because that's how much of a nerd that I am. Like, so I would, you know, that sort of thing. And I think knowing enough about how, you know, a lot of those things work, I can kind of hypothesize like how it must work, or who must do what, or what process, or what's the automation that's going on behind the scenes and that sort of thing. But I just think she shows up in a really beautiful, authentic way in a few different spaces in terms of her, you know, her business and her affiliate stuff and all that sort of thing. I just think it just must be such a beaually well-oiled machine, and I would, love to get my hands on the back end of that. That sounded creepy. That sounded really creepy. You know what I mean, though?
No, it didn't sound creepy until you said, did that sound creepy? Cool. Awesome. I shall hit her up.
Right.
So before we leave you, thank you so much for sharing the behind the scenes in your business. Like, I absolutely love your business and your wisdom, and I could just listen to all of your tips all day. I remember when you did, I don't know how many it was, but you did heaps of business hacks, and I just loved them. So
good.
Yeah,
October a couple of years ago. Yeah, that was good fun. Yeah.
If you haven't, it's still worth it. If you want to go back and watch her previous,
there are some goodies. There's some just good little hacks. Like, it's just little easy things that, you know, the things that you wish you knew before you knew them.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So thank you so much. But before we go, for anyone who's listening, and please pop #replay or any questions in the comments, as Claire and I would be happy to come back and have a chat to you. Do you have any freebies or paid offers that you would like to share with us today?
Well, I'm in a launch. Speaking of launching, I've got my last launch of the year at the moment for Batshit Crazy, which was my content creation membership, which we've just had our 4th birthday, which I mentioned before. So in there, we focus on the systems and structure and processes to create content consistently without having to do it every day. So for your social media, newsletters, blogging, speaking gigs, all of that sort of thing. So that's currently open with 4 free months at the moment for $3.99 for the year. So that's there. You can join anytime for $50 a month. So it's just a come in, have a play, see what's going on. But I do have a new webinar coming up on the 15th of November, I think it is, in about 3 weeks' time. So if you just head to my website, claireriley.co, all the details are on there.
Amazing.
Probably the easiest way to come hang out. And we're just going to do, it's called Social Climate. So we're really focusing on getting your social media content plan ready for the new year. So that's
oh my God, I'm so coming.
Yeah. Always a good one. It's always a good one.
So if you're listening, sign up and we can hang out.
Yay. See there.
Will you send me the links and I can pop them on?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Oh, it was awesome chatting.
Yeah, so cool.
Good hangs. Good
so
hangs.
Cool. Yep, love hanging with you, ladies.
Thanks for having me.
So good. Well, thanks so much. Bye.